And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley. What is up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success. I'm your host, Wes Tankersley, here with Robert Watson back in the house. And I figured out what was wrong with my camera. I feel like a dummy. Did we lose you, Robert? Let's see. Hold on one second here. This guest is in green room. Oh, let's do this. Ha, how about that?
Now I'm back.
Now Robert is here. He was here on TikTok, but he wasn't on YouTube, but we got him. We had some adjustments. So it's funny. I figured out what was wrong with my frickin' camera, which was dumber than dumb. Like, you know how you go through things and you're like, this is so frustrating. I can't figure this out. I don't know what the hell's going on. I went through the settings on it multiple times, just like we just had the thing with Ecamm, because Ecamm just updated this morning. But when the power went out, it takes it off of live streaming on my camera, and then I have to go and reset it. And I don't do it very often because I just leave it on and don't mess with it. Well, there's a button on top that all I had to do was slide it to the right, and it would have switched it back into video mode. Like,
oops.
Felt so stupid. Oh,
it's the
same thing.
Things.
Yeah. Same thing with this right now, because like Ecamm, I have to, I messed with where the camera's at. So like I'm looking over on Ecamm right now and I'm not centered and I'm moving the camera around, and it's like I got to move myself around. I got to find out where center is again. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm always trying to find center between the two cameras, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I did a quote the other day that I kind of like. We must change our focus from having more to being more. And we do. I do spend time in the acquisition mode, right?
Yep.
Trying to write more, get more published, all this stuff, right? That more. And instead of having more, being more. And I think probably I forget to do self-improvement as much as I need to, right? My focus isn't on self-improvement. My focus is on output.
Yeah.
Right? The more output you have, the more revenue you take in, the better life you have in theory. But that's an exhaustible resource because you're not improving yourself.
Yeah, and you get kind of stuck too because you start to really think about. I think what it is and this is my personal, and that's what someone asked. What do we talk about? Well, we talk about what personally can make us better every single day, and we're going to talk about that today. But I think that as far as it goes for me, as I sit here and I do the same thing. It's like you get so focused on the end result that you don't look at like all the little things in between. And you can lose sight of the original goal, right? Because that original goal becomes different when you are focusing just on parts and pieces of it, right?
Absolutely. You miss the greater whole. We've been working through a medical problem with a friend, right? And anytime you get into these medical problems where you get one or two or three, four different symptoms, which overlap about 5 different conditions, right? So you just go through this awful process of elimination. And people do not feel comfortable being their own guinea pig, right? They just want to walk into a doctor's office and they want to say, here's my problem. The doctor hands them a pill, tells them to do something, whatever, and it's solved. But that's not the way life is.
Right.
It's trial and error. And that is so frustrating for all of us because that idea of immediate gratification is, just give me more. I don't need to become more because becoming more means a much longer path, right? Yep. If I want to be better at something, it's going to require a whole lot more effort. And that's a real struggle. And we finally made a breakthrough over the weekend where we finally found kind of narrowed the possibilities down. So it actually felt good. We accomplished nothing, if you understand where I'm coming from. Right. We didn't nail down, but we did get rid of some of the possibilities. So that's actually positive where the outcome is. At least we now know that the dysfunction she has is narrowed down to 2 or 3 different things. And so we now can focus on those. But, we really don't have a whole lot of relief. We just stop the symptoms. And it's one of the battles of life.
I think that that's what we sit there a lot of times with doctors and things like that, is we go to them like realizing that they're basically not understanding that they're a scientist and they are working through the scientific method. Here's my theory, and then if they figure it out, it becomes law. But it's funny because that's just the way it is. It's like we go to these with these expectations that they have all the answers. I've gone through this with my sinuses for a long, long time, and it's like you don't know. You never know. You never have a clue. Like they have an idea of what it is, and hopefully this will be helpful, but it may or may not be. You never know, and you have to go through it. You have to work through that process. You have to find out what may be the answer, and like you said, experiment with that.
Right. And when it gets strangely personal, like when you're talking about personal failure, we tend to be, all of us, slight perfectionists, right? We don't want to allow ourselves failure, right?
Right.
But the reality is that we are going to experience failure, and we need to give ourselves grace. Okay. And in the understanding that we didn't come with an instruction book, that we really don't know 100% of the answers. We just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So the trial and error process is failure, right? My message today was strength was not being unbreakable. Strength is when you do what? You get stronger after every time you fall.
Right.
And we're really, really tough on ourselves when we have failure. And the reality is failure is part of the process.
Yep.
Just absolutely. And see, in sports, we understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfection is just flat, it is unattainable. So we're accepting of that. We're accepting of a 350 batting average is essentially 1 in 3, right?
Yep.
So we failed twice and succeeded once, yet ended up in the Major League Hall of Fame, right?
Exactly.
Who's the guy that leads home runs in the year? Does he also usually lead in strikeouts?
Depends, right? Remember that guy named Barry Bonds?
Yeah.
But now I would say more, right? Like there's a lot more strikeouts. I cannot believe the amount of strikeouts there. But yes, that is definitely true. It's like,
right. You have to be accepting of that.
Yep.
Right. You have to be accepting of that. And like you said, you have to enjoy the process, but we're not forgiving of ourselves. And we need to be more forgiving and understand that, we're not going to have all the answers, and we're going to make lots of mistakes. And by the time we actually figure it out, right, we're in the process of doing the next thing.
Yep.
It's a never ending process. And that in itself kind of drives people nuts after a while, but hey, that's life.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why I love that analogy that baseball is one of those things, because you can never be successful without making an attempt, right? Like if you don't swing the bat, you're never going to have the opportunity to hit a home run or to get a base hit or to do anything, because you have to be willing to take the chance.
Yeah, it was Wayne Gretzky that said that I've missed 100% of the shots I didn't take.
100%. Yep. And that's
100% of the shots I didn't take. Yeah. And it's funny because in every sport, the person that you iconize as being the greatest of all time will always tell you, and they will always tell you how many times they failed.
Yep.
Right. You're going to say, well, you lead in this and you lead in that and you lead in that. And they'll say, yeah, but I also lead in losses.
Yep.
Right. What was it? Peter Sampras in his, I think it was a Stanford speech where he said, do you understand that to win, one major championship after another, you win about 52% of the points?
Yep.
He said that's it, about 52% of the points.
Which is a little over half.
A little over half. Think about that. That's amazing. And yet the difference is, right, 52%, you are Grand Slam champion.
Yep.
But he's really emphasizing the losing, because you have to be able to lose and shake it off and move forward.
Right. And it comes down to, and I think I say a lot of this in my TikToks a lot, like it comes down to the fact that, I mean, let's make it as simple as this. People want to go viral on here, right? And they post 10 videos and they don't go viral. And they're like, what's going on? Why am I not going viral? I quit, right? It's like the people who have the most followers on here posted like thousands and thousands of times trying to find One, right?
Hmm?
I mean, I'm serious. Like 1.4 million views on a freaking video that says that they shouldn't have resealable packages on bacon. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Not
Yeah.
and
Well,
I
yeah.
don't have millions of viewers, but people really agree with bacon needing to not have any leftovers.
Well, I posted, I think on Instagram, 1,750 times.
Yeah,
1,750 times. I'm not even close to going viral
yeah,
on anything.
yeah. I
And
mean,
I have
that's
a friend who did. She got 2.5 million, and she just shrugs her shoulders and says, "Really?"
yeah.
And now she kind of chases it, right?
Hmm.
What's it going to take to even get close to 2.5, right?
Yep.
I mean, so it becomes kind of almost the holy grail of social media, and you don't know how you got there. There was no formula for it, right? It
Yep.
just happened, and now you're trying to repeat it. I don't, and I've never chased viral. I haven't cared. Um, the thing I chase the people that jump on and comment, and they say, "I really needed this today."
Yep.
That's my entire goal. If I can affect one person a day, I don't care about viral.
Yeah.
I mean, viral is for my ego, right? It's not really like it's going to help a ton of people.
Yeah. And that's the tough part, right? Because we all want that instant gratification. Like as much as we don't want it, and then when it happens, we're kind of like we do want it. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, what do you gain from that? Did it really reach more people than it needed to? Did it reach the people that it needed to? Did it change anyone's life? And that's really what I like is you make these posts for engagement and things like that. Like, I've talked to people, why'd you follow me? Well, it's because you seem real. It's because we enjoy the journey, because we think that you are supportive and we think that you actually make a difference in my life. Like, those are things that are really important rather than just being like a clout chaser, like just getting that, just having those followers. Having all those followers does not mean anything without interaction, without people actually telling you why they enjoy you, why they want to be around you, and those types of things. It's just crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's very much like life. It's like fame. All of it being, just incredibly fleeting, right? They even put I was reading, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, how people, when they win literary awards, right, early on in their careers as writers, like the second book, that they end up chasing that, right,
Yeah.
for the rest of their careers. Well, you got this award, right? Or you got, and then they're just like, well, I don't know why this book hit. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just wrote what I wrote. And then for the rest of their life, they almost call it a curse, right? Because it kind of, just like it being a hit. Think about Charlie Sheen as an actor, right?
Hmm.
Think about his first roles: um, Platoon, Wall Street. I mean, as far as first roles go, he knocked it out in the park. I mean,
Right.
these were uh, heralded movies, right? And
Hmm.
so then you have to chase that.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like a speech, right? Like the graduation speech. Um, you sit there and you're like, okay, well, there's 5 speeches. Do you really want to be the one that goes first? Because you damn well better knock it out of the park. Because I think that other people will come in and they'll be like, oh, well, he said that and he said this, and like they're getting ready to improve, or like a speech in a class, right? Like, you
Mhm.
never want to be the first one to go unless you are really prepared and you know what it is. Like, I love the fact when I was in college, like, oh, I have to give a speech. I'm going to do it like number 5, and it might be the second day because I'll see what they do on the first day. And then I can go
Right.
home and I can work on that and improve that and make it better because I want to win. Nikki says I prefer to go first. I prefer to go first just to get it out of the way. But I also, well, okay. So again, here's another caveat of that, right? Going first is there's no standard to set it to. So they may have
No
already
bar.
graded you, right? Because you're the
Yeah.
first one to go. So then everyone else gets tighter and tighter. Well, I didn't see this, and I didn't see this, and I didn't see this, and I didn't see this. So yeah, I mean, there's good sides and bad sides of both of them.
Right. You want to set the bar, or do you want to jump the bar,
Yep.
right? How high are you going to set the bar? Well, It's, yeah, life is always about that process, right? And it's this unescapable thing where you just have to show up, right?
Yep.
And continue to show up. And that becomes the major challenge of anything because as I told a friend, I said, here's the problem. I'm getting ready early next year to cross 10 years of running every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I can't start over. I mean,
Yep.
my God, I would have to do 10 more years just to get back to where I am. Just think about that. That's just like, it's huge, but it's just process oriented, right?
Yep.
Just show up every day, get it done. But once you got started and you got this momentum, it's almost a force of nature, and I can tell you sometimes, like this morning when I bent over to get my shoes, right? I felt like 400 years old, right? I was like, okay, let's get out there and get this done, right? You'll loosen up during the run. It'll be fine. But it's so funny how you just don't come at the run or anything every day the same way, right? Some days are fantastic. Some days are like, oh crap. Or the best ones are the days when I walk out and I hadn't checked the weather
Yep.
and it's a thunderstorm, right?
I,
And
I have this sneaking suspicion. You say that I can't start over, but I have a feeling that you would start over.
oh yeah, 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 I'd have to. But
Yeah,
my
I don't
gosh, I
think
was
that you
like,
could live with yourself if you didn't start over because you've done this
I
so
know.
long that if something happened that there was no way that you could do it, you would do it again. Even though it would suck, even though you would think about, oh my gosh, I did this for 10 years, you would be chasing that, hey, I've got to beat that because if I don't, then I'm nothing. Not nothing, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, but it becomes funny because once I get to a certain point, age will take over, right?
right.
When I get to 15 years, which is another, 5 years from now,
Hmm.
when I get there, I'm old. And another 15 years to cross that mark, I was like, crap. Now
Yep.
you're starting to run some real math. As my friend said, I'm trying to defeat aging. And I said, well, maybe so. My beard, however, has decided that it has something to do with aging.
I've been watching. I've been watching the videos as they pop up on my TikTok, just going, "Yep, it's getting there. Yep,
It's
we're gonna
getting there.
see. We're gonna see what this looks like because it's funny when it's gray, it looks like it's not as full as it is, and I can tell it's full, but like it makes it look lighter, so you don't really see it. So pretty soon you're
Well,
gonna be that.
I always had in my beards, the reason why I never had a beard was because my beard comes out, or even when I was young, my beard came out brown, blonde, and red in my beard. And so it was like this weird menagerie of things, right?
Yep.
And so now I was like, my girlfriend told me to grow it out, and I went, "You do realize what's going to come out?" I said, "Brown, red, blonde, and gray." And she said, "Well, I want to see it." I said, "Okay," but I said, I don't know. It's pretty gray.
Yep.
It's okay.
Now it's all one color.
Yes, yeah, and it's still not one color, shockingly enough. But yeah, it's getting there. This is
What's
2 weeks.
amazing? What's
So.
amazing about it is that it's how everyone's different, right? Um, Typically, like there are some people that it does, just like you said, it comes out in different colors, and I think that's hilarious because it's just you never know what you're going to get. Like mine was, you just get to the point where you can grow it, and you can have a full beard, and you can do this and that, and blah blah blah. And then next thing you know, it starts doing things like mine is. I can see the gray and the brown and the black. It's just like it's amazing. Once you can finally grow something nice, then it turns into something that it's not supposed to.
Yeah. So, the temptation was right. I was in the grocery store the other day and I said, where's that just for men
Yeah.
stuff, right? The stuff that you paint on that gets it all
Hmm.
one color. And I was thinking, hmm. So one day I show up with it all being brown and not the gray gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did
I'll
that
leave
when
it
I was
as
a
it
kid
is.
because like when I was like 18, 19 years old, like it was there, but it wasn't there. Like you have the light hair, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, that's a really good goatee. Like it pops in there because you tie it. It's kind of funny.
Well,
It
because
works.
Yeah, I mean, she had asked me the other day whether or not I had ever grown a beard. I said, not really. And my daughter reminded me, Dad, you had a goatee for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I said, I did. She said, yeah, let me show you pictures. And it was, granted 25 years ago, but I did. I didn't
Yep.
even remember it. Wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Facial hair comes and goes, and beards were big and a long time ago, and now all of a sudden they're the big thing again. And for me, it was like I shaved for 11 years of my life every single damn day because my job required it. And I got to the
Hmm.
point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I went from like 5 o'clock shadow to, shaving once a week to this, like this is like the winter thing. It seems like there's a certain point in time where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna trim it right now. And I don't know. You kind of find out every single year that there's a little more. You want to
Well, I
look
do
younger?
like one thing. I am saving on razors,
Yes.
right? So, and I'm not sure about the young. I'm not sure if it makes me look younger or older. I'm not sure. I haven't
Yeah.
figured it out yet.
I can't quite tell. I don't know.
Yeah, I
You've always
can't
looked.
either.
I would say maybe it makes you look just a little bit older. You've always looked pretty dang young. I mean, like if I compared you to my dad, like you've always looked young, and you guys are pretty. I think you're a couple years younger than my dad, but you've always looked pretty young. And that flat top with the clean shave every single day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that makes you look
yeah,
pretty young.
yeah. Well, I'm off of that for a little while,
Yeah,
and the
never
and the
hurts.
responses and the response across social media has been funny, right?
Yeah,
And it's the girls kicking in and going, "Oh, I kind of like it." I'm like, "Okay, there we
yep.
go."
Keep it going,
Yeah.
and probably about like just in time for Christmas, you'll be able to put the red suit on.
Oh yeah, Santa,
Sorry,
Santa
too
with a
soon.
flat top.
Too soon.
No, a little too soon for the Santa thing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. The funny thing is I'm 20 years younger, and you can still kick my ass, so we're fine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's been a great conversation here, you guys. I appreciate you hanging out here. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you can. Submit a review on Apple Podcast if you're listening, please. That helps us to get this out there more and more. Robert and I will be back, barring my. It's funny. Wednesday last week. We were supposed to go, and my son again is up in the middle of the night. And I'll have to tell you, yesterday we went and got. This is our answer to the question, I believe. My son's been getting up early, or like at 2 o'clock every day. He wakes up at 2 o'clock. He starts screaming. One of us has to go in there and go put him back to sleep or whatever. Yesterday, we went and got Tatum a new bed and gave him her bed. So he's out of his little toddler bed and into a regular bed. And our workaround was, hey, if we're going to have to get up and go sleep on the floor with him to keep him in bed, we can go sleep in the bed with him because it's a full-size bed versus this tiny little toddler bed. So
Right.
he woke up at 2 last night, and I actually just went in there and laid right next to him, and he went back to sleep, and I fell asleep on his bed, and it's the workaround. So, but that was what was happening last Wednesday. Is it's kind of seems like it's always a sleep issue with me because he wakes up, but we have found a workaround, and hopefully we won't miss another Wednesday.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Yep, we'll be back Wednesday. We're almost through Robert's book. It's taken us just a little bit longer because of the sleep issues, but we'll make it work. So come check it out. Come see us as we go through Ars Victorious on Wednesday. Go get the book. Follow along. Thanks again, Robert. We will see you Wednesday.
You got it. Everybody take care.